is a African civilization, African empire. The Europeans try to claim as their own. Well, we also have Carthage, okay? Carthage in North Africa, in the area that today is where Tunisia is. All right. Now, Carthage existed from 813 BCE, before the Common Era, to 146 BCE, and we've heard about the Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage, and Carthage is going to be destroyed in 146 BCE by Rome. Okay, and we read about Hannibal Barca fighting against Rome and the Punic Wars, and Hannibal crossing the Alps with the elephants, and we read about the Battle of Cannae, 216 BC, all of that. Okay, and we go through and talk about that in the 12-week online course that I teach as well. Okay, so there was a back in 2016, there was a series on the History Channel called Barbarians Rising. And Barbarians Rising dealt with a 700-year history of invasions in the Roman Empire. Okay, 700-year history of invasions in the Roman Empire. And it dealt with the first installment, first episode was about Hannibal Barca fighting against the Romans. Okay, they had this black British actor named Nicholas Pinnock portray Hannibal Barca, and some white people on social media lost their minds behind this. There was an article from AtlantaBlackStar.com that talked about this. They said History Channel's newest documentary series, Barbarians Rising, tackles the fall of the Roman Empire over the course of 700 years of invasions. However, the most recent episode that aired Monday, this is in 2016, depicts Hannibal of Carthage as a black man, depicts Hannibal Barca of Carthage as a black man. And many white history buffs are crying foul over the quote unquote historical inaccuracy, or what they call a historical inaccuracy. In the series, Hannibal Barca is portrayed by black British actor Nicholas Pinnock, who there's no question that he's of African descent. Okay, he's not. You don't have to look at him for 5 minutes and try to listen to the tonality of his voice to determine if he is of African ancestry. Now, the famous Carthaginian general Hannibal Barca was a thorn in the Roman Empire side. He became a general at the age of 26 and managed to unite barbarian tribes to stop Rome's imperial rise. The military genius was famous for climbing the Alps with war elephants whose sole purpose was to stomp the Roman Empire, to stomp, S-T-O-M-P, to stomp the Roman Empire. Hannibal ultimately wanted to invade Rome, but he failed to do so. Okay, now, there have been debates over the race of Hannibal. This debate still continues to this day for some people. There really is no debate if you understand history. Read the article from AtlantaBlackStar.com from June 7th, 2016, called History Channel Portrays Hannibal as Black. White people cry foul over historical revisionism. All right. Now, when we look at Carthage was founded in the 9th century BCE, before the Common Era, on the Gulf of Tunis. From the 6th century before the Common Era onwards, it developed into a great trading empire covering much of the Mediterranean and was home to a brilliant civilization. In the course of the long Punic Wars from 264 BCE to 146 BCE, Carthage occupied some of Rome's territories before finally being destroyed by its rival Rome in 146 before the Common Era. In his book, World's Great Men of Color, Volume 1, history scholar J.A. Rogers asserts, quote, the Carthaginians were descendants of the Phoenicians, a Negroid people. The Carthaginians were descendants of the Phoenicians, a Negroid people, and that, in fact, until the rise of the doctrine of white superiority, Hannibal Barca was traditionally known as a black man, end quote. So what we're going to see as you have a rise in European powers, and Europeans are coming out of the Dark Ages as they come out of the 1200s, going to the 1300s, which is the beginning of the Renaissance period. As they come out of that time and going to the 1400s and 1500s, we're going to see them conquering people's lands, especially in the 1400s. We're going to see them conquering people's lands, like with Christopher Columbus, and then we look at the Juan Ponce de Leon in the 1500s. In 1513, he comes into Florida and conquers Florida on behalf of Spain. And Europeans start to enslave people, not just African people, but also Indians, Native Americans. They start to enslave them, extract mineral wealth out of those respective nations, and they start to rebuild Europe. As you have a rise in the dominance of European powers, you also have a rise in the dominance of the European phenotype. And a lot of mythological characters get reinterpreted as European that were originally African, and some historical characters, some historical personalities also get reinterpreted, and some historical people, groups of people, get reinterpreted as European that were historically African. And we're going to see this depicted in paintings. We know that Europeans were worshiping the Black Madonna and Child for hundreds of years all throughout Europe, okay? And that comes from the worship of Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus, okay, known as the First Holy Trinity. And we're going to see that Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel, he depicts Adam and Eve as being European. He depicts God as being European. And we're going to see, there were hundreds of images and statues of the Black Madonna and Child all throughout Europe. France probably had the most, with somewhere around 300. And we're going to see the colonization or decolorization of these African images to European as well. And there's going to be these European images that these Europeans take into foreign lands when they conquer people and force these images and force Christianity, especially white Christianity, force these upon other groups of people, especially African people. Okay, let's continue. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. How you all like this type of information? So today, many encyclopedias classify the Carthaginians, who are descendants of the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians were African people as well. Today, many encyclopedias classify the Carthaginians as whites or Semites, but ancient Greek and Roman eyewitness accounts paint a different picture. The indigenous peoples of Carthage were called the Afirs, A-F-E-R-S. Ancient Roman poet Virgil, in his poem Mortem, M-O-R-T-U-M, speaks of a woman from the Afir, Afar, or Afro region, okay, the Afro region. He says of her, quote, and all her figure proves her native land. Her hair was curly, thick her lips, and dark her color, end quote. Now, in Library of History book 20, XX, Roman numeral X, okay, represents 10. In Library of History book 20, Greek historian Diodorus mentions a Greek lieutenant named Agathocles, who defeated a people in the area of present-day Tunisia, who were the same hue or color as Ethiopians. The eyewitness accounts are corroborated by physical anthropology. L. Berthelon and E. Chantre, initial L and initial E. E. Chantre, both well-noted French anthropologists, documented their examination of skeletons throughout North Africa in all periods. They note that the remains of both upper and lower class individuals of ancient North Africa were representative of the Negroid race, All right. Now, if you like the type of information that was shared here today, I mentioned this earlier, visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and register for the online history classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. But Saturdays, I teach a 12-week online course that I created called Ancient Kemet, one of the original names for Egypt, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We had a fantastic session yesterday. We dealt with the Dogon and how the Dogon originate in the Nile Valley region of Africa, the Dogon of Mali. We talked about Benjamin Banneker, and it's believed that Benjamin Banneker's grandfather, Banneker, was West African and possibly Dogon. We talked about astronomy, all of this, and the connection between the Dogon and ancient Kemet. The supreme being amongst the Dogon, whose name is Amma, comes from Amen. And we know Amen-Ra Ptah, the supreme being in ancient Kemet. So we do this class Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's on sale, $80. It's a 12-week online course. This time around, we're going to do 13 or 14 sessions. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded, so you can go back and watch it anytime, okay? So as soon as you register for this 12-week online course, you can watch the class that we did yesterday and the previous weeks. And even after the 12-week online course is over with, you still have access to the full class. This content, I would say, is PG-13, is not overly graphic or anything like that. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. We take you throughout history. We show some of the interviews I've done with some of our scholars, like Professor Kaba Kamene, Professor James Small, Tony Browder, Dr. David Imhotep, and others. Sundays, I teach Black resistance movements from the Haitian Revolution, U.S. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, 1800 to 1968. We go through history chronologically and look at this history. We look at what leads up to the Civil War taking place. We look at the Reconstruction era, Jim Crow era, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, to understand how we got to where we are today, to understand where we need to go from here. And I created both of these two curriculums. We look at 80 to 100 articles in each class. There are book references as well. The first class is about 7 to 8 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books. We show you excerpts of the book right on the screen, okay? And I'm a historian. I've been studying history 31 years. And these two courses that I teach is the culmination of a lot of research and interviews I've done on the African History Network show. And I've been hosting the African History Network show. I created the show. I've been hosting for 13 years as well. Okay. So there's a PowerPoint presentation with over 200 slides in the first class that we use. I put together the PowerPoint presentation, put together the curriculum also for both of these classes. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We look at work from Dr. David Imhotep, but we also talk about the 1619 Project. Now, today is August 20th, 2019, the 403rd or 404th anniversary, I should say, of August 20th, 1619. Also, we have our PayPal Cash App information here as well. This is our Cash App account, $ the HN Show, SHOW. These other ones are fake African History Network Cash Apps. There's about 5 I've identified. I'm trying to get them shut down. You click right here, it takes you to This is our QR code for Cash App. And when you go to it, it'll say Michael. Make sure my picture there as well. Here's our PayPal information, $, AHN show through PayPal. So you can register for the online quiz, my DVD lectures, digital downloads. They're at our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. Also, listen to the African History Network show Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our social media platforms. 9, 10 a.m. Superstation WFDF, the radio station I was on. They did a format change. So it's not talk radio anymore. It's fine with me. I have my own network, so it really don't make me any difference. And our shows are in audio podcast format as well.